Welcome to this Arnold Culliford knitwear tutorial on planning where your yarn needs to be next in Intarsia. This tutorial is part of our Little Lessons Intarsia series to accompany the patterns in the Modern Daily Knitting Field Guide No. 16 Painterly. This lovely book is packed full of designs by the master of colourwork, Kaffe Fassett, and these tutorials will give you all the skills you need to tackle any of the projects with confidence. So when you work in Intarsia, you have a piece of yarn for each patch of colour in the pattern. And when your colour change is happening in a vertical line or in a diagonal where the yarn just moves by one stitch in either direction, it's ever so straightforward, because when you work across one row, you will leave each colour at the edge of the patch. And when you come back in the other direction, the yarns will be exactly where you need them. But when your pattern is such that your yarn change isn't happening either directly on the vertical or on the diagonal, such as here on row 12, then I will show you what you need to know. So on row 11, it's a right side row. We work across in yarn 2, and yarn 2 ends up there. We work across with yarn 3 and it ends up here, and yarn 1 ends up here. Then when we work back on row 12, yarn 1 is all ready happily to work in this direction, that's fine. But when we come here, we want to use yarn 2, but yarn 2 is back over here on stitch 5 and not here on stitch 10 where we need it. And if you strand your yarn across there, you do just risk it puckering or whatever. So what we're going to do instead is, having identified that we've got one of these points where the yarn change isn't happening directly above itself or just on the diagonal, as we work across row 11, we're going to be extra clever and we're going to carry yarn 2 behind yarn 3, and we're just going to hook it in as we go. Yarn 2 is going to come along here, hooked in, and be ready here for where we need it next. So now I'm going to show you how to do that in your knitting, how it actually looks. And we're going to work along the first section. And it's this pale green colour that I'm going to need. Okay, normally I'd drop it there, but when I come back the other way, I'm going to need it across here at the end of those blue stitches. So pull from the Tangle and do our Intarsia join as normal. Oh, where's our blue? There we go. Intarsia join as normal. And then we knit the first stitch in the blue. And instead of just leaving the green there, I'm going to pass it over and then under while I use the blue yarn to work these stitches. So it's come from under and I'm putting it over, and then for the next stitch I'm putting it back down underneath. So we've hooked in like a snake that green yarn at the back of the work behind the blue stitches. So all of those stitches we've just knitted were in blue as they were meant to be, but we've just tucked and caught in the pale green so that it's in the right place ready to work the next row. And then we do our Intarsia join as normal and carry on. Here's the next section. We're in the same situation. We've got the pale green and the Vaseline green colour. So we do the Intarsia join on the first stitch. Do the Intarsia join on the first stitch, and then we bring the old yarn above and then over to below, so it's passing over the working yarn, and then it was below, so it's now going to come back up And now it'll go back down again, and we're just snaking it over and above the working yarn, and we can just pull the stitches apart, make sure it's not too tight or anything, and we'll leave the pale green yarn just sitting where we need it, ready for the next row. Now we work our Intarsia join as normal and continue on. We're now working back along our wrong side row, and I've worked the stitches in the first colour, and this orange stitch is now due to be worked in the pale green, and here we have the pale green yarn, just pulling it from the Tangle. We have the pale green yarn, and because we'd hooked it in at the back, it's sitting in just the right place to use it to work across the top here. Don't worry if it looks like you're getting some loose gaps here. Once we've tightened up that join, when we come back across and we've woven in the end of the orange, that's going to all be perfectly neat and tidy. There's a separate video on weaving in your ends in the same series, so do check the notes on the video to find the link to that. And there we go. Can work across the row. No, I'm not bothering to pull the yarn right out of the tangle. I'm just pulling enough to work with. Doesn't matter at all what's going on with the rest of the ends. Okay, and here we come again to that point where the pale green yarn would have been sitting down here, but because we caught it in as we worked across the green, it's actually just here, ready and waiting where we need it. And it just keeps your tension that bit more even to have popped it ready in the right place. Okay, tighten that up as we go. Intarsia is definitely one of those techniques where it doesn't necessarily look great on your needles at the moment at which you're doing it. And there is a big improvement, a lot to be gained by doing a bit of neatening up as you weave in your ends. You need to join in a new ball there. Right, there's that. And there's the green in the right spot, ready to finish off. I hope you found it helpful to see how you can work out when your yarn's going to end in the wrong place and how you can carry it across to put it in the right place, ready to use on the next row. If you've enjoyed this video tutorial, then please do click the round button at the bottom to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and that way you won't miss any further tutorials. And please do pop over to our online shop and see our books and yarn to help you learn new techniques. Every purchase in the shop helps us to film more videos. Thanks ever so much for watching. Bye bye.